Okay, so I have been ranting and moaning and telling people my frustrations with some recent things in the media. So I thought I'm just going to put it on a video and share it with all my lovely people on Parent Plus, because it'll make me feel good. And actually, it might help somebody else. So recently in the press, I don't know if you've heard, but antidepressants, particularly sertraline, can make you murder people. Okay. So I just want to share that I've been on antidepressants and I've no shame whatsoever. In fact, they made me who I am today. Without going through the situation that I ended up in antidepressants, I would never have had any therapy. I would never trained as a therapist, and I wouldn't have been doing a job that I love. I wouldn't have had the level of self-awareness that I have. And I think that self-awareness is what gives me contentment in my life as a parent, as a partner, as a family member. Just would not. I've never had contentment in my life in the same way that I do now at this age. Does that mean I never get anxious? No, it definitely doesn't mean that, because anxiety is a normal feeling. But I also get that anxiety can be so crippling and debilitating, as it was for me at one stage in my life. So I really understand that this isn't just rational anxiety we're talking about. It's really extreme. And I would not have got out of that cycle without those tablets. And I never murdered anybody. So when I see it on the news and in the media, I can really understand why they're doing this research and why they're looking into some of the things that can happen and some of the ways that tablets and medication can affect people in different ways. But to me, there's so much more to that. We don't know all about these people's histories, these people's personalities, their health, medically. We don't know anything about, other than they were on sertraline, so that must be why they murdered somebody. And yes, there is also a high suicide rate in terms of certain medications. I think one that was actually banned in the UK, I can't remember the name of it. There are things like this that we hear that are really bad things that happen. But what about all the millions of people that end up getting out of a really nasty, vicious cycle in their lives through the help of medication to then seek further help? And I get really cross when I hear that antidepressants are addictive and people tell me they're addictive. And I think, well, how come I wasn't addicted then? How come I know lots of people who aren't addicted? The difficulty is, it depends. There's lots of different types of anxiety, whether it's generalized anxiety, whether it's specifically acute to a certain situation. So I'm just speaking very generally here. But actually, what people become addicted to is the crutch, potentially, that gives them. So people might go on antidepressants and then 6 months later decide they want to come off them, but nothing's changed. They haven't done anything different. They haven't been for any therapy. They haven't resolved potential issues that they felt that they had. So why would they then come off them and feel totally fine? Like, why go on them in the first place? So people have a high success of coming off antidepressants really easily and simply if they create the change that it is that they need in order for them to have to take them in the first place. So that's another thing that really frustrates me, because if that puts somebody off getting out of that really awful vicious cycle that they're in because they think they're going to get addicted, and actually if they get the right help and support, there's no reason for that to happen. So there's that. And one of the other things that, and this is a message that I kind of want to get out there, and I think if you know anybody that has been on antidepressants or is currently on antidepressants, or that you yourself have, let's make sure that the one big thing that we're saying to people is, when you hear these horrifying stories in the media that people go out and kill people on certain medication, you know, please don't just stop taking it. Please don't just panic and think, right, I'm going to stop, because actually it's not good for you just to stop. Like any medications, like most medications, you need to taper off things. And this is not because antidepressants are evil and they're really terrible and all, you know, most medications need tapering off. If our body's getting used to something different in our systems, why would we just stop that? It's too much for our bodies emotionally and physiologically to take. So please, please don't just stop. By all means, come off, but go to your doctor and come off them in a healthy way. You know, whenever, and I've gone to the doctors in the past, and when I was coming off tablets, if the doctor told me to reduce it for 2 weeks, I would double that and do it for 4, because the slower, the better for you not to feel those effects. but please don't just come off them because you hear something and it scares you. Go and talk to a professional, go and talk to your doctor. If you're worried and concerned and want to come off, please do it that way. And one of the other last things I want to say on my little mini rant is, if I had £1 for every time someone has been completely shocked by the fact that I suffered really bad from anxiety and I was on antidepressants and I spent a month in the Priory, that's my claim to fame. That's the closest I'm ever going to get to celebrity, is spending a month in the Priory. And, you know, I joke about it, and it was hellish time for me. But again, as I've said, it kind of, you know, was part of my journey of who I am today. And people are always so shocked, can't believe that happened to you. You're not like that. I didn't think you were an anxious person. And sometimes I'll go, well, what's an anxious person? What did you think I would be like? So because I'm happy and content in my life, and because I'm successful, and I don't mind saying I'm successful because I feel that I am successful, doesn't mean that I'm not vulnerable, doesn't mean that I go through my life swimming and sailing through everything. So I wanted to say this, and also, as well as having a rant, wanted to spread this message that if you're on antidepressants, or you have been, or you feel like you want to, doesn't make you a bad person. Absolutely. It doesn't make you any less successful than anybody else. You know, as a parent, it doesn't mean you're a crap parent because you're on antidepressants, so you must be crazy. No, to me, it says the exact opposite. You're getting help, you're getting support, and taking tablets isn't going to be for everybody. And I'm not for or against, I've had them, but I'm not here to say you should take them if you are feeling anxious. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, if you do find yourself taking them, please don't feel that you failed. Please don't feel that it's a bad thing, because strong people like me, and I am a strong person, go on these things and have been on tablets, have been in the Priory, and you know what? I've turned out just fine. So please don't feel that you have to hide away, that it has to be a big secret. And please, please do not just stop taking medication because you hear that somebody else, somewhere else, has murdered somebody or has become aggressive, because you don't know all the ins and outs of that situation. And maybe there is a link, maybe there is, who knows? But I'm here to tell you that there's also a lot of people who do not go out and murder people and become aggressive. In fact, for some people, it can be the opposite. They can feel quite numb. They can feel as if they haven't got the same burst of energy, or the same, the feelings are not as expressive and all that. So that's kind of the opposite. So, you know, which is right? And actually, it doesn't matter. It's what's right for you. So please, please, if you know anybody that is worried or concerned in any way about any of this, please let them know that it's totally fine, and normal people like me, and I hate that word normal, but I am pretty average, you know, have experienced things like that, and it doesn't make me a bad person, and I am not ashamed of it. And, you know, I'm sitting here on a video that's going to be public on YouTube, that's going to be on my business page, that I've worked really hard alongside Jackie to develop. You could think, oh, well, people might not like, they might discredit, you know, my ability to be a good therapist, or my ability to be a good parent coach, because I've been in the Priory, or because I've been on antidepressants. And actually, if that's how somebody feels, then they're not right to work with me, because that's who I am, and I'm not ashamed of it. And, you know, if anything, I think it makes me better at my job. And that's not to say that therapists who haven't been in the Priory, because we haven't all been in the Priory, or been on any medication, aren't good at the job. But for me personally, a lot of my empathy comes from having experienced a really shit time. So yeah, so I just wanted to share that. And please do, if you've got any friends who worry about this, share it with them privately, or tag them in it, or whatever it is. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And if you do want to come off, brilliant, that's great. But please, please do it in a safe, slow, and supported way.